History forgot her name, but not her power. Imagine a woman so important that she was buried like a queen, yet centuries later, no one remembers who she was. Today we uncover the story of a mysterious figure whose life and death still baffle historians. A story lost to time, but one that changed history in ways we're only beginning to understand. Let's step into the shadows of the past, where even the smallest details can reveal the greatest secrets. There are no birth records, no carved titles, no written stories about her childhood, her voice, or her thoughts. And yet, when her tomb was opened, she was buried like a queen. Imagine standing inside a stone chamber sealed for more than 1,000 years. The air is still, the walls are thick, everything inside has been placed with intention. This is not the resting place of an ordinary person. Her body lies beneath layers of red powder, cinnabar, a substance reserved for the powerful and the sacred. Jade beads surround her face. A mask, carefully assembled, rests where her identity should be. Every object speaks of status, reverence, and authority, but her name is nowhere to be found. This is the Red Queen of Palenque, or at least, that is what we call her now. She lived more than 1,300 years ago in the ancient Maya city of Palenque, deep in the forests of what is now southern Mexico. Palenque was a city of stone temples, ritual stairways, and rulers who carved their achievements into monuments meant to last forever. The Maya recorded everything that mattered to them: kings, wars, ceremonies, bloodlines. Names were power. To be named was to be remembered. And yet this woman, buried with extraordinary honor, was never named at all. Her tomb was discovered in the early 1990s, hidden beneath the Temple of the 13th. It was one of the richest burials ever found in the Maya world. The red cinnabar coating her bones was not decoration, it was ritual. Red symbolized life, blood, rebirth. It was expensive, rare, and dangerous to handle. Only the elite were buried this way. The jade mask covering her face was not meant to resemble her features exactly. It was symbolic. Jade represented breath, vitality, and continuity beyond death. In life, jade was worn by rulers. In death, it marked someone whose presence was meant to continue. Everything about her burial suggests power, but power without a name is a strange thing. We know she was a woman. Her bones tell us that much. She died in her late 40s or early 50s, old by the standards of her time. She lived long enough to accumulate status, influence, and respect. Some scholars believe she was a queen. Others believe she was a high priestess. Some argue she was the wife or mother of a king. Others suggest she ruled in her own right during a period when records were intentionally altered or lost, but no inscription confirms any of this. In a civilization obsessed with lineage and legacy, her silence is unsettling, and that silence forces a question. How does someone become powerful enough to be buried like royalty, yet invisible enough to be left unnamed? To understand that, we need to step away from her tomb and look at how history chooses what to remember. Ancient records were not neutral, they were not comprehensive, they were tools of power. Monuments were commissioned by rulers to shape how the future would see them. Names were carved to assert dominance, legitimacy, and continuity. What was not carved was just as important as what was. Women often held power in ways that did not fit official narratives. They ruled behind the scenes, acted as regents, controlled religious authority, or maintained dynastic stability during fragile periods. Their influence was real, but inconvenient to record. Sometimes silence was deliberate. If the Red Queen ruled during a time of political tension, her name may have been erased to legitimize someone else's claim. If she held religious authority rather than military power, her legacy may have been preserved through ritual instead of writing. And ritual, unlike writing, does not argue. It does not explain. It simply remains. Her tomb is not loud. It does not boast. It does not list victories. It does not tell us who she defeated or how she ruled. Instead, it tells us how she was honored. The placement of her burial directly beneath a temple matters. The alignment of her tomb matters. The materials chosen matter, the care taken matters. This was not a burial meant to be forgotten, and yet history forgot her name anyway. That contradiction is the heart of her story. When we think about power today, we think about visibility, fame, records, documentation, proof. But in the ancient world, power did not always look like permanence. Sometimes it survived in gestures, objects, and silence. Her body became a message. The cinnabar that stained her bones red was not meant for us. The jade mask was not meant to be seen again. These were not performances for history. They were acts of belief, meant to carry meaning beyond words. The Maya believed that death was not an ending, but a transition. Identity could dissolve and reform. A person could become something larger than their name. Perhaps that is why her name was not preserved. Or perhaps it was taken from her. Either way, what remains is not absence, but presence without explanation, and that may be more powerful than certainty, because when a name is missing, imagination fills the space. Questions remain open. History breathes instead of closing. The Red Queen forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Some of the most influential lives were never meant to be read. They were meant to be felt. Her life echoes not through texts, but through the care with which she was buried, through the materials chosen, through the silence that surrounds her. She reminds us that history is not just written by those in power, but preserved by what survives. And sometimes what survives is not a name but a trace, a color in the soil, a mask of jade, a tomb sealed with intention. Her life ended more than 1,000 years ago, but the echo never did.